Inspirational people, uplifting stories, Upbeat with Sandra Godley on BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.
If, like me, you shudder when you hear the letters DIY, like I did a few moments ago when I said it, and you're in need of some inspiration, then look no further, because my next guest is here to solve all that. DIY Queen Vicky Richmond is with me in the studio. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Do you like that title, DIY Queen?
Oh, my fiancé will completely rip it out of me, probably. Queen.
Queen, but listen, I mean, you're more commonly known by another name, actually. The Carpenter's daughter. Yeah. How did that happen? Let's start with that first before we jump into anything else.
Well, as a full-time blogger, I'm actually a food blogger. But, but we moved into this house in 2014 near Coventry, and I did start doing a load of renovations, like stripping wallpaper off, and I was on such a roll.
Yeah.
I don't know if I burnt myself out or got bored, and then I thought I wanted something different to do, so I started cooking in this grotty kitchen and filming it. I thought, it doesn't matter about the kitchen, I'm just going to film it. And then my fiancé said, if you put in just as much energy into renovating our house, then we'd have a house done by now. And I thought it was a bit harsh to hear, but I thought, all right then, I'll start converting our van into a camper van to start off with.
Whoa, what a bit. I mean, I would have just said, okay, I will put the screw back into a door or something.
Yeah.
So you went for the camper van.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
That's how I got into it, opening a second channel, because I thought my audience on my food channel and blog is majority women that I thought they're probably not going to be bothered about me doing a camper van or renovating. And it was really low budget videos just on my camera phone. I didn't even want to mucky my proper camera.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that this second channel was getting a lot more attention and comments and things than my food, which was slightly disheartening at the time, thinking, I don't want to comment off that. I want it off my main channel. Then somebody convinced me, actually, you're onto something here. There's not enough women that are doing DIY. I'd not necessarily been brought up. My dad is a carpenter, he's a cabinet maker, and he's a joiner.
Yeah.
But the family business has always been a wood yard doing sheds and fencing, because people in the village I grew up in, they're not going to pay for mahogany this or oak that.
I get it.
So my dad keeps it. It's like a chef cutting down his menu to 2-3 simple things.
Yeah.
And life's probably going to be so much easier than like that. So I did have that rough sort of like woodyardy background. Well, not necessarily rough, but yeah, it's a very blokey environment.
So is that kind of how? So that's kind of how it started, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the channel was originally called Vicky's Vintage. Then I thought, hang on, I've got to renovate my house, and all of a sudden I thouut, the Carpenter's daughter, that is me. That is because I'm not the kind of person to be, I'm completely opposite of a beauty blogger, putting makeup on every day, pristine this and that, and my house certainly isn't pristine. So I thought, this is more me.
Yes.
And it just made more sense. And normally I wouldn't be able to think of something as, well, I think it's the perfect title.
Yeah.
So, people assume that I've learnt off my dad, and I haven't. I've just learnt it when I've needed to.
All right. So, wow, this is an interesting, complex beginning, because I was going to say how it all started, but I can hear what you're saying. Almost by default, you're in the kitchen with your partner, and it's like, if you put more time into the renovation.
Yeah.
So
we're both from Yorkshire as well.
Did you like my accent?
Yeah.
It's because my husband's from back there as well. So that's an interesting beginning to this career.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to kind of like make this, what you do, really?
Well, it's the full-time job still is the food, but to me, the YouTube channel for DIY and my blog it seems to be more like a progressive CV. But the reason I made sure I put things out there on almost everything that I've been learning is because when I started doing research, it's a minefield. When people are describing things on YouTube, you need to know what tools they're using, and I procrastinated so much. I didn't understand one screw from the other, and I still don't understand it all. And I thought, I've just got to help other people out because I've wasted so many hours stressing about how to do something.
Got it. Now, so this is interesting because your beginning is, you started with the food and then it's moved into the DIY. I get it. And then from that, there's this blog that's going on, and like you say, you're having to update all that.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back then, because, where does someone actually begin when it comes to tackling DIY? I'd really love to hear what you think about. Does it have to be a big project like your camper van?
No.
Or can it be something smaller?
No, I got pushed into that.
Sounds like.
But I have to say, when I was doing one job at a time, slowly taking each day as it came, and I didn't film whole projects. I just filmed as a diary.
Yes.
That's all I did, and I thought that was easier for me. It was easier for me to digest. And I suppose it slowly built an audience like that. But I would definitely recommend someone to start small on the little jobs, because big jobs, if you look at, like, I built some decking in the back garden.
Did you?
And that was one of my first jobs. But if you tackle some of the big jobs are really, really, really easy. They just look big.
Got you. Yes.
So when you've done something, it's those bigger jobs that give a better transformation, and that's where you start getting addicted, and you think, oh, yeah, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
It's the before and after that gives that sense of accomplishment.
Okay.
And surprise.
That's a surprise. But what would you say, in traditional terms, what would you say is a small project to start with?
I would say things like installing shelves, where you might need okay. Another one. And I didn't know what to do with this.
Go on.
My kitchen cupboard door,
yes,
it was hanging off. It fell off.
That sounds more
Luckily,
like me.
I was
yes.
there.
Yes.
And I thought, what's the best way to fix this? And I left it for a week or something. I thought, you know what? It wasn't the end of the world. We don't have guests around our house anyway, because it's a DIY home, and we don't have family in this area. And I thought, that can wait. I've got jobs to do. I'll sort them out. So I rang my dad and looked online. Mm-hmm. And some people said, just put a little a matchstick in the hole and put a screw back in. Yeah. And my dad said, no. I'll tell you what you could do. He gave me a few options. And one of them, I thought, right, I'll do that. Just try and clear out the hole. Get any...
get rid of all the gunge and stuff. Yeah.
Hoover the hole. Then... Get some wood filler and some catalyst stuff. You mix it together. You'll be able to find it in a DIY store. Uh-huh. You fill it, leave it to harden, and then you pre-drill a hole. It sounds scary, but it really, really is easy.
I'm scared. I am.
Come around and show you.
I'm booking you. But actually,
and then,
yes.
Yeah, just a smaller drill bit than the screw.
Yeah.
And
away you go.
And yeah.
Well, but you've not seen me with a drill, have you?
So I filmed that as well. I accidentally forgot to pre-drill the hole though, but it still worked.
I love that confession. How do you think someone learns DIY? Of course, they can look at a YouTube channel like yours, but is it trial and error? Just keep going over and over again, or would you recommend something else?
It's definitely trial and error, but do a lot of research in advance just to try and cover any potential accidents that might happen, like don't touch electrics or gas, for example, because I don't know, I can't foresee the next steps ahead. Sorry, I totally forgot the question.
I was just saying, how do you learn the DIY? So, yes.
So I'll sit down and watch maybe 5 YouTube videos. I watch quite a few, and I look at all the comments to see if anybody's pulled up any issues, like, oh, you shouldn't have done it this way. And you see the same tasks or same methods pop up quite often, so you think that's got to be right. Yes. The other thing is, if you go to DIY stores, a lot of them have leaflets as well that you can follow, but sometimes I've insisted on putting a video out there because everybody's house is totally different.
Of course.
And you think, oh my God, how can I deal with this obstacle? I've got this, I can't even think of one right now, but there's been, I know, when I had to put coving around some pipes, and I thought, how do you cove around pipes? Because if you Google it, I came across a lot of ugly ones. So I thought, I'll ask my followers, because there's a lot of skilled people. It helps. And my dad.
I want to know how you're covert. I'm going to ask you that question. I'm going to play a tune, then let us have the answer to that, the question. Also, I've got some other questions as well from our Twitter sphere fans who've been listening in to you. So it'd be good to hear you talk about that. Good stuff, Vicky.
February. Home to the most
BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.
I'm being put through my paces with this amazing guest this evening. We're talking about DIY, and I'm useless at it, but she is very, very good. She's already got a great following on YouTube. Kind of stumbled into this, actually. We've discovered this whole area of DIY as a female, and thanks to your other half, actually. But we won't talk about that. Well done. Anyway, I posed you a question before we played that last tune. Coving around pipes.
Yeah, I saw lots of people online doing mitered cuts, so to angle it, the coving, it was polystyrene coving that I used, to create corners around the pipes, and I thought, why can't I just drill a hole? And a lot of, I can't even remember how I totally did it now, but it's all on YouTube. I did use a Stanley knife. I think I did score around with a Stanley knife as well, but I was worried about cutting too big a hole and having to fill too much with cork and it looking dodgy. But it was actually, I took it slow, worked out the angles, and it was much easier than just doing the rest of the coving. I
like that, because you're obviously a trier and you go for it, which is brilliant. I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Earlier we reached out to Twitter Sphere to see if anyone had any questions, and I've got one for you now. Gary McKee, he says, his question is, what's your main drive for DIY?
Hi, Gary. It's very, very easy. It's not wanting to spend money. The prices around here are, for tradesmen anyway, they were a shock. They were a lot more expensive than up in Doncaster. And every time I asked both our parents, is this quote reasonable for the patio or whatever? And most of the time, they just laughed and said, that's ridiculous. We got quoted £3,000 to knock out a wall to redo like the layout of the kitchen. And my father-in-law ended up coming to show us how to do it, guiding us. So as I've watched him, I thought, I like to watch and understand processes. So basically, the main of it is saving money, that sense of achievement.
Sure.
Helping others, because I feel like I've struggled and procrastinated myself. And feeling independent, because we're not, my family aren't around here anymore. So say if, my fiancé passed away tomorrow or something like that, I'd feel a little bit lost if something broke down. I'd want to know how to do it. Yeah. And I can avoid call-out fees, because I think some of those are just
horrendous, aren't they?
And finding the right person who you trust, because if you go online and even in Facebook forums, DIY Facebook groups, there's a lot of people said, I've just had a plumber around or a carpenter around and he's done this job. Is this acceptable? And you think, oh my God, have they? They obviously, there's a lot of people that don't care about the finished work, but there's a lot that do as well.
All right, let's get technical. We've spoken about what people should do in terms of picking tools and mentioned that a little bit. And I think you used something that terrified me, the word power tools.
They terrify me.
Yeah, I mean, are they actually necessary? And when, because I think you mentioned a little bit earlier about getting advice from your father. Are they actually necessary for most of those smaller jobs?
I wouldn't say for smaller jobs. It really does depend. Occasionally, I felt like I could do a better, more accurate cut if I had a power tool. But most of the time, let's say hanging doors, for example, every time I looked on a YouTube video, I saw people trimming down the bottom of the door with a circular saw and masking taping it up. And I thought, do I really need the circular saw? So I thought that I always ask my dad if in doubt, because I know that I can trust his judgment. If I ask a tradesman, they'll probably say, oh, you don't want to touch that. And they want to try and get the business. I find are like that. And my dad surprised me and said, masking tape it and use a handsaw and you get fit and you've got a lot more control. And he said, if you use a circular saw, you're probably going to chip too much of the good side, the face of the door off. And I thought, let's just do this slow. I'll save some money in the process. And it worked a charm, and he's not the only person that said that. And most of the time, I think, well, sometimes I want an excuse for a nice tool, but they're
not necessary.
They've not always been necessary. I use my handsaw a lot. I do use a jigsaw from time to time, and I've got a mitre saw.
What have you used a jigsaw for in the past?
Oh, so many things. Trimming down bits of wood, because you can do wobbly shapes as well. I did my own headboard a while ago, and I trimmed that down with it was a pallet wood headboard.
Yeah.
I trimmed. I was going to use it to trim. I altered this fence panel, but it was raining, and I had to just. I thought I'll scrap that. There's loads of times, and the camper van when I had to do some bespoke wooden pieces.
You used it then, yeah.
But it does have some give. So. Yeah. Sometimes it's not the best.
Fascinating. All right, what should people not do? I mean, you did say something about electricity. I mean, what are the things that they shouldn't really handle themselves?
Anything that... Definitely electric and gas, for me anyway, because I don't know what the next steps are. But if you don't feel confident, if you haven't done enough research, if you feel like you haven't done enough research, then you need to do some more. It's just, I think it's about building confidence, knowledge, and
practice at it as well, isn't it? The more you do it, yes.
I always risk, whichever job I do, I always risk the of what could go wrong. It's like a little risk assessment in my head, but without the paperwork.
Yes.
And I think if I mess this up, is it the end of the world if I start again and buy this piece of wood again? And I think, well, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'd rather get the job right, learn for next time.
Yeah, and see what... Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, definitely. I just haven't started doing anything. Anyway, we're going to play another tune. They're going to come back and get your top tips. And I want to hear about your dog as well, because your dog plays a large part in what you do. BBC Coventry and Warwickshire still have my great guest in this evening. She's a bit of a DIY expert. Thank you for coming in, Vicky. First question, because this has come from another one of our Twitter sphere fans. This is from Mark. Would you like, Vicky, to learn a trade and change career, or are you kind of happy sticking to DIY and food thrown in as well?
Yeah. Hi again. I did see this question earlier. I get bored from one job to the next sometimes, and I like that I've been able to do different projects each week. Okay. But I would love to master everything, which is really, it's like cooking. I want to know how to bake this and make that, and I can't do it all. But sometimes me and my fiancé have talked about like buying a plot of land, putting maybe a caravan on there for now while we build a house. Yeah. Maybe turn it into a business, like having even a campsite, or even having like not necessarily DIY tutor, like courses. It could be like a multi sort of like course place. Wouldn't it be nice though to go away for a weekend, someone like me, total novice, and actually just get DIY practice, in a house or somewhere? Well, I think that would be absolutely cool. I'll do it in a camper van. I don't mind doing that. And the other thing is, like, I always think, well, my dad's been saying he wants to retire for years, and he's 64 now or something.
Oh, don't tell his age on air, love. He'll have you for that.
Or maybe 63. I can't keep up. But I think maybe even possibly taking over the wood yard, but my uncles work there as well, and I know that who'd want to work for their niece? Come on, it would. I don't think they'd listen to me if I did try and delegate. But I don't think I'd want to do sheds and fencing like he does. I'd like to maybe even turn it into a business. Even just make manufacturing stuff. I don't know yet.
Yeah, thinking that through. Yeah. You've got so many avenues you can take, can't you, with that? It's fascinating. Now, should people actually be afraid of DIY? What are your thoughts about that?
To a point, yes and no. But to be afraid to the point of not doing anything and learning and understanding the processes, no, don't be afraid of that, because I've wasted so many hours, and it's painful thinking about. I've got to fit my kitchen sink at the moment. I've done all the cutting out, but I know that when I put the clips in, I might be there for ages getting it right. So I've been focusing on like the holiday stuff, and I thought I'll come back to that. But yes, electric and gas and things like that, definitely just don't. But start small.
Yeah.
And you'll set yourself up for success then.
Yeah.
Little jobs, build confidence, understand it. And so most of the time, well, sometimes I feel like, I won't be able to do that. And I installed my own plumbing for my kitchen sink and washing machine about 2 months ago, and I did not think for 1 second I'd be able to do that. I did it with all speed fit pipes, but it really does boost your confidence.
Sounds fantastic. All right, now where can people see your videos? I think you've got about 21,000 followers apparently. How can they add to that number and follow all your amazing adventures and missions?
Very easy, just search The Carpenter's Daughter and you'll find me on YouTube.
Carpenter's Daughter. I love that title. All right, just before you go, I would love to know what your top tips are then for a beginner, because in terms of what are the essential things you should have in your house, in case you need to do a bit of DIY yourself.
Well, it depends on how good a job you want to do, whether you want to do something right. It could go on forever, but I'd say get some. I've got this box of mixed assorted wood screws from Screwfix. That way I can get the raw plugs. I've always got it there at hand. I can match them up together.
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't always know the right size of screw. Sometimes you drill a hole that's too big and you think, no, then I can reach for a bigger one.
Yeah, so a selection of screws,
a spirit level, without a doubt.
Oh, yes.
And maybe a small one and a big one. Sometimes you do need a big one if you're going to do bigger jobs.
Brilliant.
And that doesn't have to be that expensive. Quite a few pencils, you'll lose those. I have to edit a lot of swearing out for that.
Okay.
Don't drill holes in your wall in line with light switches and things like that. The other thing is even cable detectors. I don't totally trust those because you look at the reviews and the flashing in all different places.
Yeah.
I think to get a good one, the deer. So I just think, I'll just use my common sense. But saying that, not everybody's installed electrics correctly. Go at your own pace.
Yes.
Because you don't want to get too far and realise, I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm probably the slowest DIYer in the world. And I take my time. And health and safety.
Oh, okay. Be aware of that. Yes.
Masks, if there's any dusts.
Yeah.
Dust. If you think, if you use it, even tiling and the tile adhesive, I did burn the tips of a couple of fingers because I didn't realise that cement was in it. And you watch YouTube videos and nobody's wearing gloves.
Got it.
So respect the cement is what my father-in-law said.
Respect the cement. My goodness. All right. Well, they're brilliant tips. Absolutely fantastic. There's someone else. I'm going to say something else that you respect. It's your dog. Because this lovely dog takes a pride of role and position in your videos. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that before you go. What's the name of your doggy?
Hans. We actually named him after the Peep Show character Super Hans. But when we'd always planned that name, but when we got the dog, we thought, we can't call him Soup Hands, because if we're shouting Soup Hands in the park, we're going to look really stupid.
Yes.
But he's my company during the day. He can be a rascal barking, but he's so lovable.
Yeah.
And it's fun to attach a camera to him sometimes. I don't do it often because it slips off all over the place. And the last time I did it, I thought he was helping me film a project, and then I found the footage and he'd gone to his bed.
Got a mind of his own.
But yeah, he does make me laugh. There was a project I was doing a canopy for this swing chair, and he kept bringing me the tennis ball every 5 minutes, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to include this and do a little ding, ding, like a little counter. And I thought, it's what happened.
Yeah,
it made me laugh.
Well, big shout out to Hans and to your fiance. Yes. I'm not going to say his name because he doesn't want his name said on air. But listen, well done. What a company you've got of people around you. All the very best, and thank you for sharing those top tips as well. Definitely, things like gloves and spirit levels, absolutely brilliant, essential information. How can people connect with you? Just through Facebook, through your videos?
Facebook, if you just search The Carpenter's Daughter, or Carpenter's Lass on Twitter, because somebody already had the other one.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Vicky. I'm going to have a go. I've got a spirit level. I've got two, actually. I think I'll try and put them to good use in the next few weeks. I'll come back to you if it's all a bit of a disaster, though. Thank you.